Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about an AC system that I was repairing today. You can see in the video I have this Nest thermostat backing plate, and that's really where everything ended. So my neighbor came to me and said, "Hey Joe, my AC is making a weird noise. What could that be?" So I go over there, and I hear the contactor on one of his compressors, a 2014 Carrier, was clicking like crazy. I tested for 24 volts at the contactor at the outside and saw about maybe 16 or so when it was calling for cooling, and that was indicative of a problem. There was a trip breaker as well, so I wasn't getting 240 volts at the other side of the contactor on the high voltage side. So long story short, this was very difficult to troubleshoot because really from there it can only be a couple of things. It could be a bad transformer. The transformer came out to 28 volts AC, which is what you'd expect to see. That was testing between the R and C wires at the thermostat, as you can see on here. So that would be right down here and here. So I saw 28 volts there. I jumped the R to Y, and I saw 28 volts at the contactor, which told me there wasn't a wiring problem. He has also had another, this is a two-zone system. He's got, well actually it's two separate single-zone systems. He had an identical Nest thermostat on the other zone, so we took the Nest thermostat off the working zone and put it here, and we saw the same exact behavior, 16 volts. So I was kind of scratching my head, and then I looked at this plate carefully, and if you yank the cover off, this is a first generation Nest. You notice there's a printed circuit board here, and if you flip it over, there's a lot going on here for just a simple base plate. So what we ended up doing is we took the base plate off of the working unit, and all of a sudden, once we plugged the thermostat in, we got 28 volts. So that told us the thermostat was bad. He went out and purchased a new third generation Nest. We installed it, and the system is running great now. So I don't know if there is a known issue with these first generation base plates. There's not much information online, but I'm recording this just to hopefully save someone some troubleshooting time, because I spent a couple hours on this. And I don't work on these every day, but I know a good deal about air conditioning systems, and this took me a little while to trace down, because again, when you see something like this, you kind of assume that really it's just, you know, a wire from here to over here, wire from here to down here. I didn't really think that there would be this level of complexity on a backing plate. But if you look carefully, there's actually a microprocessor on here. I probably can't see it without, probably not zoomed in enough. But anyway, there's a lot going on here. So long story short, if you see any weird behavior at the contactor when the system is calling for cooling, low voltage situations, or just otherwise odd behavior, and you have a Nest thermostat, especially a first generation, you might want to dig a little bit deeper into that thermostat. You could try jumping, again, the R to Y1 to see if you then get 28 volts at the contactor. I'd recommend doing all this obviously with the either the disconnect pulled or the breaker trip, the breaker for the condenser trip, just so you're not cycling that thing on and off. But again, if you jump R to Y1 for cooling, and you get 28 volts, or 24 to 28 volts at the contactor, that's a pretty strong indication there's a problem with the Nest, either in this backing plate or perhaps with the actual Nest itself. So hopefully that helps somebody.